Hello and welcome everyone to Galactic Gumbo, the topic show. This is episode 10. Joined with a few people here. I'm probably going to have Dalton join us a little bit later on, but got a few things we're going to be talking about. We've got our Mount Rushmore. We're going to be talking about Hascon. We're going to be talking about TFcon, maybe a few other topics. But going ahead, starting off with Chris, tell people where they can find you, man.
Hey, you can find me on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, all about Prime.
All right, Mike.
You can find me on Twitter as well, and I'm Botcon fan 1978.
All right, and Rick.
And you can find me on Twitter as Shatrdglassjazz.
All right, and you can find me G1 Extron everywhere except for Facebook page, which is the G1 Extron. So we will go ahead and start off with hauls. And Chris, why don't we start with you, man?
Because it's been a while. Oh, I got some bits and I got some bobs here. Just to kind of shortcut it, I got the the X something Shadowfisher for Devi, which is awesome. I didn't think I'd like it, but I went for it. Detolf, other bits and bobs of Robits. I got the Dakota Fort Max, which I love. And then on the other side, I got some combiners of combinable stuffs and more stuffs, and yeah, happy days.
All right, what about you, Mike?
Today I actually picked up the Walgreens exclusive Brainstorm, and I think that is really it. I mean, last week I kind of cleaned up on the G.I. Joes, but I mean, as far as this week, all I got was the Brainstorm, so I'm pretty excited about that little figure.
All right, what about you, Rick?
We don't have that much time.
I just got it's a light week this week. Light week. Last week was crazy. Just the Hot Toys Ray and BB-8 and the new Joe 3-packs and 2-packs came today. That's it.
I saw those at Toys R Us. Let's see. For me, I got the Takara Masterpiece, the anime version of Red Alert. I got Takara Wheelie, Skullcruncher, Hardhead, and Weird Wolf. For Batman animated series, I got the Etrigan and what's the guy's name? Clarion, I believe his name is. Ra's al Ghul, Commissioner Gordon, and Zatanna. Got the DC Icons, Joker, Firestorm, and John Stewart. Got the NECA Uncharted 4, Nathan Drake Ultimate, and ended up getting the Play Arts Kai, the Batman Arkham Knight's Batgirl. So I'm ready to break that sucker in. All right, so we're gonna start off with the Mount Rushmore, and it being a week that we on Cybercast, we looked at a lot of stuff from TFcon, being Transformers, or I guess third-party types of robots resembling Transformers. Figure we do Autobots. So these are Mount Rushmore, your top 4 favorite characters. So I mean, maybe one day we can just do toys, but this is just based on the character of those. So Rick, you want to go start us off?
Sure. My first is Jazz, and I've talked before about why. He's just a cool character, and G1 Jazz to be specific. Second would be Springer, and mainly because of the animated movie, '86 movie. And then Star Saber. I do like the Japanese stuff, but that character spoke to me the most out of all of those. And then the last one, I'm sort of cheating, but Defensor, because I like the idea of the Protectobots, but none of the individual Protectobots really, I don't hold them close to my heart. But Defensor, I like the idea of him and the design, the robot design too.
All right, what about you, Mike?
My top 4 was my number 1 has always been Optimus Prime, and then right behind that was always Chrome Dome as the headmaster, and then after that one, Crosshairs, the Target Master, and then Fort Max.
Okay. What about you, Mr. Barrett?
Probably the easiest way to go for it, just apply for it, is Grimlock is obvious because I love my Dinobots. Magnus, because he's such an underrated character. I mean, why he never became a proper true leader, God knows why. Just because someone's got to love the little guy, Bumblebee. I mean, why not? I mean, he gets picked on so much, and hey, it's the little guy. You know, you gotta love the little guy. But yeah, obviously, I'll just go generic and say Prime or Metroplex. Actually, I'll probably go Metroplex. I'll stick with that one.
All right. It was really easy getting my 2, and then I had to think about my first 2. The first one being Jinrai. I've said this before. One of the reasons why Super God Master Force is my favorite series for Transformers is because you see Jinrai, and the guy, he doesn't even want to. This is not his fight. He doesn't want to join. He doesn't care about Autobots, Decepticons, or even that war. He wants to stay out of it. So you see him from that not even wanting to be in it. I believe his friend gets killed, and Decepticons had something behind it, and then to where he wants to join, and he's just kind of like the new recruit, and then he just starts getting more experience and gaining more confidence and getting better and better until towards the end, you start seeing him about midway through season to where he's confident, he's leader, he's calling shots, and he turns into that great character that we come and love. But I kind of like the and Rick, we've talked about this with Star Wars characters before. Ahsoka, her starting off kind of young, or even Batgirl, and Laura Croft. A lot of female characters that we like, that they start off to where they're not really getting it, and then you see their progression until they become this like badass that they are. So that's I think why I just gravitate to characters like that. What's up, Plex? I guess number 2 is going to be Optimus Prime. He's Optimus Prime, so I think that's self-explanatory. Chris reminded me Grimlock. I love the character Grimlock. Big, powerful Dino T-Rex, can smash everything, but he's clumsy. He's kind of dumb as the sentences he comes up with. And then, it's kind of cute, when he's got his little chef's apron on and stuff like that. He's a funny character. So then going on to the 4th, I was like, who can I put there? And I was trying to look on the Masterpiece shelf to try to, even though they haven't released a lot, I went with Blaster, even though we don't have him yet. Is kind of like the same with Jazz. I think we've talked about this. They're a little bit more. They got the lingo, the street lingo, and stuff like that. They're just cool. I like that about Blaster. Yeah, so that's how I kind of decided on him. What do you guys have for like maybe honorable mention? Like me, I was like I could have put Victory Saber in there, but I was just like I have more on Blaster, and plus it's in English, so I can hear the voice. I think that's part of it too. So I think our Star Saber was probably my honorable mention for me.
I think Hot Rod too. Hot Rod would be my, if there were 5, or he would be my 5th. Hot Rod.
Mine was a Cup. I had Cup down there
because he's old.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
They were there in the cigar. The thing with the cigar in the comics was always just so cool. How he was just kind of really of a badass in the comics and everything. And so just a real cool character.
Yeah. Mine would probably be like Omega Supreme, which is kind of weird because it's like I've noticed like we've all kind of picked ones that some sort of resemblance to like human nature. So like Cup with cigar, and then you've got Hot Rod. It's very, you can relate to it, but then I can relate to Grimlock because I got a bit of brain damage from America still. But with like I don't know, with Omega Supreme, it's just I suppose you look at him as like the older brother sort of thing, because he's that kind of guardian type, and I don't know, it's hard to explain, but out of all the other ones, he's probably the most odd. But yeah, definitely love my Omegi.
All right, and Clexy says, "Oh, well, he named 3 here." He says Blaster, Cup, and Jazz. So, like all 3 of those, one, at least one of us have named.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess we'll start off with TFcon 2016 Chicago. I guess we can kind of talk about what were some of the things that you saw. A lot of it we've seen before. So the stuff in the display case we've seen before. But there were some things that we saw that were from the panel that we have never seen before. Or maybe we have just seen a teaser and now we kind of got a little bit more of a reveal. What were some of the big key things that you really noticed that you're like, you know what, that right there is pretty awesome, and I think I might have to buy that.
Probably when I choked on my tea and when you showed up Omega Supreme. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But God, that was so left field. I mean, no one saw that coming, but it's like we was all speculating in the chat. Like, I don't know whether, well, I'm guessing you guys saw it, but as soon as that came up, chat just went boom. It was like drop the mic kind of thing. But going off by size, I mean, I was literally there. I've got this little shoestring, and I was just on my screen. I was like, right, okay, if Optimus is that big, so how many shoestring lengths has he been? That's my way of measuring things because I'm special. And yeah, he's got to be like Metroplex size maximum to combine all those Devi, but it's the same as with all like the price and things like that. He's not going to be too expensive, but then he's not going to be too cheap. But it's interesting for what he brought up with Skyfire. I can't think of his name. Skyfire, whatever the dude's name is. He's actually not that much expensive than a normal like masterpiece. So it's kind of interesting to see what they're going to come out with.
Oh yeah, Cameron was mentioning that the Fans Toys Dinobots are $200, and then the Skyfire or Jetfire is a lot taller than them, and he's only $225. So it was only a $25 jump higher, which he thought would be a lot more. So that's why
it makes me think: is it like, would that be down to like it's not so much of you're paying for the price because he's like so bulky kind of thing? Would it be down to maybe you're paying more for the mechanics that gone into the engineering, sort of transformation, things like that?
I think there is a lot that goes into, because a lot of them they're paying these designers, and so they probably sell like this. Here's this design for this certain price, and they're like, we got to sell this many to, because there's plastic costs, obviously, factory costs, and then these retail stores have their markup. But I think that there's probably a good portion of it, or a chunk that has to go to pay the designer.
Right. Okay.
So plastic, obviously, there's going to be a lot more in it, but you got to think there's going to be some. It's going to be hollow. I mean, I don't think it's going to be just completely solid. I mean, because it is going to come apart. So you're going to have some parts forming, like you have with the G1, and that thing is, all hollow except for the, the insides.
Yeah, of course.
Or the chest area. So I think we all think a Mega Supreme. What are some of the other ones that just kind of really caught your eye? I think finally seeing kind of the color versions of the Make Toys Contact Shot. That thing I think looks amazing, and it's got me to where I'm like, you know what? I might just jump on this Make Toys Headmaster and Target Master, especially if they're going to be charging $135 for them, which is because I thought they were like $200 or something, but $135. You catch me on a month where I don't really have a whole lot to spend, then that might be where I start to play some catch up.
They're really nice. If you were to jump in, they're 2 good ones to kind of jump in to give you a good first impression of the third party stuff. I think they're both awesome, and I think that one, their point blank, looks amazing.
What are some of the other ones you guys really kind of stood out to you?
I feel like which one?
The Masterpiece version 2.0.
Oh yeah.
It's I mean, Josh has been saying for God knows how long, it's like, it's coming, it's coming. Everyone's like, where is it? Where is it? It's coming. So, you know, for, what you might call it, Galvatron's around the corner as well. But it's more so with Megs, is what I'm afraid of is he looks awesome. Same as, you know, everyone's like, oh my gosh, when X-Trans did Apollyon or Apolia. Either way. And it's just, it's not so much a floppy mess, but it's like a million moving parts. And I was looking at like the back of Megs, I was like, okay, it doesn't look too clean, but I can live with that. But it's, as long as it's not like, right, okay, transform, cutscene, half hour later, right, gun mode kind of thing. It's, as long as it's not like that, I don't mind. It's one thing that I do love about it is someone managed to, whether it's a true translation, I don't know, but apparently there's like a fusion cannon sound in his arm, so that's cool. So yeah, it's pretty much, it's just happy days. It's not a lot I can say about it really. Like, it's in down to design. People showed that like general why you saw him in the cartoon versus why he was in the movie. Movies, he's way more consistent looking. So it would be nice to see it more like that. But look at the price for you. You can't really fault it. So you can pay the normal going rate for the masterpiece for Megs, or you can pay for Apollyon, which is like you're flipping a coin whether it's gonna, you know what I mean? So yeah, Megs was a big standout for me.
I'm not much of a third party person, but you know, the one Megatron, I don't know the name of it, but it was the one that Dakota wasn't a big fan of. But in its vehicle mode, it really looked
creations.
Yeah.
Okay. The vehicle mode on that one was pretty solid vehicle. You know, it looked like, honestly, I thought it was a Cyclonus until we, went to a different picture. I mean, that there was a decent toy, I thought, except maybe the robot mode, like everyone else thought. You know, and if I was to even buy a third-party toy anytime soon, it's probably going to be that Omega Supreme.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not much into third-party, maybe the accessories and add-on heads and feet and stuff of that nature. But, I mean, if I was to go all out, it would be that, depending on the price, which, I honestly, I don't see it being below 500. I think it's going to be 500 plus. That's my opinion. Yeah. I mean, I could be totally wrong, but I really think they will milk it until there's an official product put out by Hasbro. Maybe not a masterpiece, but maybe the generation, a Titan Returns, or whatever the case may be, till we get something official from Hasbro. If that's the only thing that's out there, besides Planet X, then that's all your choices are.
Pretty much. I can just imagine so many like dads out there just turning around saying, "Kids, you're going to work." After it would be so funny.
It was like Josh said, Dakota's on the street corners doing something to make some extra money somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, the show as a whole, like what I saw, I wasn't as surprised as maybe I have been in the past, but I think that's to do with like how things have changed and pictures get leaked. Some of these companies have to show stuff early, just to keep that. That's the way the market is. I think like some of the stuff that we've been seeing, like even from Hasbro, like things leaked, but there was things that we didn't know about, like the New York Comic-Con stuff that I was a little more excited about. But the one that stood out was Omega Supreme, obviously for the same exact reasons. It's so large that you have to wrap your head around it a little bit. And then when they showed it in scale with MP Prime, that was exactly what they needed to do to get that roar of the crowd. That one is going to be one of the ones where, I don't want to pay more than $3.99. I don't know if I will, but because when you cross that $3.99 threshold for a Transformer, it's usually like a vintage Japanese Transformer. So there's a little different.
And
but it looks good.
Right. Well, I want to say on what you were talking about, price-wise, one thing, if anyone's not learned yet, is that your third-party products, usually it's kind of like a used car. Once you drive off the parking lot, it drops its value in half automatically. And that's what I see a lot in third-party, because Hasbro's finally putting out the official product, and people are going towards that. Just like I think that's what will happen with Omega Supreme, and people are going to drop 3, 4, 5, whatever it's going to be, and then once Hasbro puts it out, then you're going to see everybody and their brother trying to sell that thing, thinking they're going to get what they paid for it. People are still trying to get $400 or $500 for that first Devastator that came out, 3, 4 years ago. The first Devastator that came out. I don't even remember.
Yeah, Hercules.
Hercules.
TFC.
Right, I had that. But, I didn't get nowhere near what I put into it. You take a loss. Third party is a gamble. Is a huge, huge gamble to play around with, because it's like how many different Dinobots do we need? How many different Devastators do we need? I just don't get why everyone thinks that they need to start, oh, hey, so-and-so's doing Dinobot, I got to do Dinobot. They're doing one, I got to do one. It's like it's no one's original no more. The only one that's original is that company doing the Target Masters and the
Make toys.
Right, and not the Insecticons, but the Terrorbots doing those. Terrorbots?
Oh, the Terracons?
Terracons, okay. And they're, the ones coming out doing that.
Oh, we know the Monster Bots.
Okay, yeah. Brain fart.
Okay.
Who else? When they first started coming out, you only got one, maybe two companies doing it. A year from now, we might have every company have their own little version with the same damn way to flip the legs around as the first one did.
Yep.
I think one of the problems, like, let's see, is it Toy Hobby that's doing the Monster Bots? We bring up those. We saw that, here they're doing all three of them, which that's good. Then they're also going to be doing a Roadbuster, which I don't like the designs on all four of their first products, and it seems very cheap to me. I think that now that third party's been around for a while, and we do see that, hey, there will be other third party companies that will step up and eventually get around to doing it. To now, a lot of people have certain third party companies, because before, there's like one or two, and then it was like, hey, maybe there's 5 of them. Now there are just tons. They're just coming, out of nowhere. And just like, hey, hey, we're a new third-party company. Here's, our stuff. Some of them were on their first or second or third figure, so they're still kind of, freshmen in all this. But some of them have been doing it for a while. The Fans Toys, the Fans Project, the Make Toys. To where
TFC.
I think a lot of people, TFC, I think a lot of people that collect third-party, a lot of it, like let's say Rick, you do. You probably have more third-party stuff than the rest of us. There are probably particular companies that you're like, hey, even though the Insecticons, let's say, even though, kind of waiting for it to car, but if you were, there's Bad Cube, there's Mastermind Creations of the Ocular Max, then there's Fan Toys. There's probably one brand there that you're like, I kind of like this brand the most, the way they do stuff, and that you automatically gravitate towards. How far off am I?
No, you're absolutely right. Like what I was going to say, to piggyback off of kind of what Mike was saying too, and then that conversation you were talking about, Josh, the companies that like take it and they don't, it's not necessarily having to be original, although I do like that. But when they say, okay, no one's really doing a lot of the IDW stuff and people love More Than Meets the Eye, you look at that, and MMC has taken it, and they have not only taken it, but they are translating it almost perfect 10s across the board so far. There are a few that they could be a little bit better, but for overall, people are really responding to it. I would say the one thing, and I dig that they've gone into the fiction and done something that we might not see otherwise a lot of from the official stuff, because they're in the middle of the Prime Wars stuff. They're going to have movies coming out, every year, so we're going to be getting movie toys. The climate is changing a little bit. I would say the one thing that I didn't see, and I know people have talked about it before, but I want to talk about it just for a second, and that is I would like to see one of the companies, even if it's a new company, I'd like it to be one of the companies I like MMC or Make Toys, dip into the animated stuff that Derek Wyatt was doing and partner with Eric Sabaneller and Derek Wyatt to do what would be, and I'm talking about the fiction too, it doesn't need to be an animated series, but do a comic book, partner with those guys, finish up the designs. We didn't get Cyclonus, we didn't get Strika, we didn't get Minerva, we didn't get, I mean, there's like 30 that I could sit here and name right out of the animated almanac. Yeah. If someone does that and goes deep on it and then gets into the season 4 stuff that we just saw in the Fun Pub comic that just came out in the almanac, whoever does that and does it well would be, I feel like, set the market on fire for something that we haven't seen at the at TFcon.
We know that Mecha Ideas did try a little bit of that, and I don't think that it got the response that it wanted. You know, maybe you're just choosing the wrong characters there, but
yep.
You know, I think that, you know, other third-party companies or even themselves, they kind of look at that and they're like, well, you know, I mean, they even made exclusives and they were basically having to try to give those things away.
They were so super. One was Super Mario and one was Luigi. I mean, I get it. They were the wrong characters. They didn't partner with the guys that really brought that series to life, and it felt like an afterthought. I didn't buy them, and it doesn't. They didn't really. I didn't think they fit with my shelves, my animated shelves.
Right. Anything else? I mean, because we just got done doing what was it, like almost a 3-hour show on that stuff.
Trying to think.
Kevin,
it kind of makes you wonder what the atmosphere was in that room because I've been to TFcon, and it's kind of like, you know, I didn't go to the panels because I was really there as a dealer and just hanging out because, you know, between the shows, TFcon and Botcon are totally different. But I mean, it's kind of like you kind of want to know what the atmosphere was in there because, you know, when you're at Botcon and they do a big reveal, everybody just loses their stuff. You know, it goes crazy.
Yeah.
So I mean, it makes you wonder when they showed them that picture of Omega Supreme, how that room reacted.
I think it reacted probably a lot like our live chat because as we were, you know, going along, anytime we hit something, and like Chris mentioned this, you know, we hit something that, you know, caught people's attention, like when we brought up the Takara Megatron version 2, the live chat lit up. Yeah. You know, whenever we brought up Omega Supreme, chat lit up. You know. Whenever we were looking, you know, and there was like some downtimes and stuff like that. But whenever it was something that was obviously like that pop, chat lit up. It's where whenever Omega Supreme came on, I couldn't even read. Usually I try to glance over and like read like 3 comments and maybe it'll go up, you know, go through some more comments. I'll kind of glance over again, like read like 2 or 3 more. I just quit looking over there because it was scrolling. It was like you were taking your mouse and just scrolling down because it was just going that quick. So
there's actually a video on Dame Shark's Facebook page, and someone was taking a video, and as soon as like he popped up, I was like, oh my gosh. And then as soon as like they showed him like holding like Shockwave, it was just like the room, and you just saw everyone holding up their phones like it was so amazing to see.
See, one thing that really caught my attention, you know, it was yesterday too, was that Masterpiece style 6-shot that DX9's doing.
Oh yeah.
I thought the robot mode looked really good. I think there was one other mode, or maybe 1 or 2, that looked decent. The robot mode is definitely, you know, the superior one, and that's one that you're probably going to display it the way. I actually think, as far as alternate modes, I thought the little Iron Factory one, you know, was designed better. You know, as far as the way it looked in its alt modes. Do you guys kind of agree with that, or?
Yeah, I need to look at it again.
The DX9 was pretty good. It had the I'm trying to remember which two. It was the Lion and the spaceship mode. The ship mode looked really good on that one. The car, I think, is what it was supposed to be. It took me forever to really figure out exactly that was the car mode.
Car and tank suffered.
Yeah, it did. The submarine, whatever you want to say, it looked pretty decent.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I enjoy Six Shot just like you do. I mean, I have my Takara reissue of him. You know, I really enjoy it. But I mean, that one there I would consider that one as a collection just strictly because of the robot mode, the way it looked, because you get that articulation in the elbow joints more than anything else is what I'm a big fan of, because on the original one, it's, like that. It's like Hell Hitler, I mean, that's all it was. I mean, I just, and it looked good. I mean, like I said, I enjoyed it in a couple of its alt modes, but there were a couple of alt modes that were stinkers.
Kevin said that he really liked the Legends class Dinobots. Those were the DX9s, I believe.
I think so.
Who those were?
Yeah, the Warren Pocket.
Yeah. Anything else on
that
guys?
The Make Toys was it? It's kind of like their version of Jinrai for the cross dimension.
Yeah, I saw that. That was interesting. I guess the reason why I was just kind of like, just keep on going, because the Takara Jinrai that's coming out, I think looks great, and I mean, because it's Takara, it's coming from Japan. I just assume you're gonna get a God Bomber eventually. You're gonna get a Nucleon Quest. You're gonna get a Fire Guts. You're gonna get all that stuff, Takara, and I like the way it looks.
Fire Guts.
So I'll jump all over those. So I guess that's the reason why I didn't jump up and down about that Jinrai. But I mean, does look pretty good. Anything else from TFcon that just kind of really jumped out? I mean, we looked at so much stuff, so it all kind of blends together at some point.
Well, to kind of flip it on like the flip side, the one thing that I was actually really disappointed of, which we're going back to one of my most favorite companies, Planet X. When they first revealed they were doing like Optimus and Starscream and things like that, loved it. I thought it was a brilliant idea. Though I do prefer the actual design of the first game. The second game, okay, for what it is, yeah, sure, why not? But for the fact of, I know that scale isn't everything, but this is my argument. All your Dinobots to date have been more or less in scale, so it's like, right, okay, so why out of the blue just not completely jump out of scale, but then when you see their Starscream is almost the same size as their Grimlock, and everywhere, every article, every concept art is a bit different, but that's just say for what it was in King. It's even like compared to like Shockwave, he's ginormous. Like Grimlock should be a lot bigger, Prime should be a lot shorter. And when you've got people like me, who's heavily invested, I've got every single figure from the line, and I've even got the what were they called? It was the add-on kit for Bruticus. It wasn't the
Microblaze.
So the guy who, Microblaze. I was gonna say it's not the cheaper one. I should say Boosticus. That was it. But I'm heavily invested into that line. It's like, okay, now I have to replace every single figure because now they decide, actually, Optimus and Bumblebee and all these we're gonna actually upscale them to like Voyagers. It's like, okay, that's gonna suck. So it is that. I don't know. And plus, on top of that, you got to think of like their Genesis as well. It's like, okay, so if all of these figures are going to be Voyagers, so they're like half the size, just over half the size of Genesis. I don't know. It's just something not sitting right with the scale for me. But that's just me.
So you think that they're more concerned with making, basically pretty much copying what Hasbro has already done. Maybe they make a few little tweaks here and there, but not really paying attention to scale. That they're just trying to make Voyager versions so that they can, because they think that that's what people want to buy.
Exactly. And going back to like when they first revealed it, if I was saying this to Dalton a while ago, it's like if you look on the original post, there was far more people. The majority of people were complaining about the scale. Some you still see now, but it's just kind of like just chucking stuff at a brick wall. It's just not sticking with them. Or if they come out with, say, some color changes, or say, right, okay, color isn't finalized. I don't feel now. Over the years, we have had some people going from as way back as Crazy Debbie to current day stuff. You have these companies. They actually do. For the life of me, I can't remember who it was. It might be Fans Toys or someone. But they went to TFW and things like that, and they actually did polls for paying customers and fans and things like that of their products. Like, right, what do you prefer? And I miss those kind of things. It's like now it's just, I feel, especially with Planet X, it's like, right, we're just kind of throwing it out there. We're not going to ask your opinion and such. We're just doing it. And it was just, I don't know, I missed that play. I missed the connectivity with the actual consumer, because I feel that we've been all divided again. And as you were saying earlier, it was like, right, okay, it's just, okay, we've got 5 people doing all the Dinobots. We've got 5 people doing this. If you asked us what we want, look at the IDW is what Rick was saying earlier. It's like there's actually a really big market for that. If you actually listen to people what they want, okay, I'm probably the only person on the planet. Maybe there's a couple of others, but I want all the original like 13 primes, so someone to do that, and then I would just close off my collection to say, yep, done. I'm a happy man. So yeah, that's my rant over.
I was just reading up on a couple of things on Facebook. People who were actually at TFcon had posted stuff that had been asked about that Omega Supreme or whatever it's called. The date they were looking at on that was in 2019.
Wow.
Okay.
Wonder if it's a Build-A-Figure.
2019, and they said the price point, check this out, $350.
Oh,
yeah.
All right.
I'm calling bullshit right now.
I was thinking more between the $400 and $500.
Yep.
Well,
I'm waiting on confirmation that the $350 price point was actually said there in the panel, but they did say in the panel that they're looking at 2 more years. It's Fan Toys number 20, the toy number. So they're looking at 2019 release on it.
Things just got serial.
all right. Well, that changes things up. Let's say it is $350 or whatever. I think the main thing there is the date 2019, because like you mentioned before, I believe that what is it? 2017 we're getting Trypticon, and then 2018 you're probably going to get Scorponok or Omega Supreme. So let's say it's Scorponok in 2019. Then you'd get Omega Supreme, or maybe you get Omega Supreme in 2018. So you're really going to have something to compare it to then at that point. Right. And you're really going to be able to be like, hey, do I want to go with, does that Takara or Hasbro Omega Supreme look as good, and give me that G1 feel, like they've been doing, like with the the Fort Max. I think that also kind of hurts their sales. I think that one of the best things for them was to maybe, I was thinking maybe 2017. If you can roll this thing out, this time next year, that would have probably been best for them.
It's kind of risky because at the same, seeing what the buzz is by showing the picture and the scale factor at TFcon, that's a nice marketing ploy. It's like, there's your focus group. How much of a buzz is it going to make? But when you throw the date out like 2019, if I'm Hasbro, I'm looking at that and I'm going to steal your thunder sure as shit. I'm gonna make sure I steal your thunder. I mean, they just show the chink in their armor. If I'm Hasbro, I'm definitely releasing an Omega Supreme that has the tracks, maybe electronics, and making sure it's like $200, $250.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Trypticon will definitely be the defining point, because it's like the way that I was thinking in my head is like Trypticon would be something like, don't get me wrong, I love my Debbie, but he's got that Combinables kind of cheapness. He should have, well, everyone's saying, well, I say everyone, that's kind of exaggerating. People are saying it's like maybe he should have been like, maybe they should have done like masterpiece figures and eventually built up to it. Some people are saying, oh, he should have been like classed as a Titan, even though they kind of see him as a Titan just unofficially sort of thing. But I just hope that he's done right. And this is the whole thing of, you go to third party because they do these certain things where Hasbro and whatnot can't do. And I generally think that, because it's like, can you imagine a third party company coming out and doing like the latest Metroplex or something like that? Or, well, actually, bad example, Fortress Maximus. It's like, there's not an awful lot they can really do to compete with that. I mean, it's, in my eyes, it's pretty damn perfect. Okay, it's some add-on gets here and there, but most part is fine. But I can't really see from, I know for all we can say, there's like, oh, all we've seen is Trypticon is a leg. But from, as the leg is, when you think of Trypticon, when you want an actual Titan of it, you want it to be masterpiece, not masterpiece scale, obviously, but masterpiece kind of functionality and design, but then you want as close as possible, my thing of it, like there's esky, if that's even a word, to the original toy, and from what we saw, it's pretty much his legs are generally the same, right?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's pretty, it's not, when you got a, well, long story short, what I'm getting at is when you got a smaller bot like Optimus, it's hard to compete with, because it was just, more engineering goes into a smaller figure, in my opinion, because more moving parts versus something that's massive and gigantic as like Metroplex is just kind of, right, rotate leg, fold arm, tilt down head, done, sort of thing. So.
Anything else on the TFcon Transformers?
Well, I'll talk a little. I mean, what I wanted to say about TFcon wasn't about third party, more like, you know, we had Pete Sinclair on last week on Cybercast, and, you know, someone I know on Facebook posted a video of him going through the Let's Make a Deal thing. And, you know, up until this point, a lot of Transformer fans, not Transformer fans, more of Transformer Club members were upset that the club was going to be set up at a third-party convention when they wouldn't allow third-party dealers at their show, which in hindsight, 2020, not FunPub, but Hasbro would not allow this to happen.
Exactly.
That's the point I want to make real clear. This is Hasbro saying, no, you can't have this. But granted, you know, any way you look at it, people are pissed off that Pete's over at TFcon doing Let's Make a Deal to every Joe Blow walking through the dealer room who doesn't have a paid membership, is what people are upset about. But the point of the story is that a buddy of mine, he's sitting there videoing, and apparently there's one box, I mean, full to the top, over the top full of toys, and it was $5 a figure. And you're talking about, you know, Terrasol from this year. It was missing two legs. I mean, you go through there and piece one together. I mean, you get a Terrasol for $5. You know, people are asking $200 for that on eBay. You know, and a buddy of mine walked away with a sealed one and a loose one missing one leg for $85, which I thought was a hell of a deal. But anyways, one guy that videoed it, he picked up a Spinister, no accessories, $5. Nothing wrong with the figure whatsoever. There were great deals.
That might be, well, that all depends on what type of collector you are. Okay, so you mentioned you you mentioned the one that didn't even have legs. Like me, I'm not into buying broken Transformers, so that's not me. The other thing is I'm all about 100% completeness, and so you buy the Spinister, especially the character Spinister, because he's a dual target master. Part of his whole allure is coming with the two accessories, the two target masters.
Right.
To me, not coming with that is like buying a headmaster without the head, or you get what I'm saying there? It's I can see.
I totally
so these
agree.
were basically they're junk lot figures, is what I would call them, in my opinion. And that if they're all just thrown in the box, that seems what they were. So, and they're trying to clearance the things out. So, I don't see how they could have put it on the website. Because do you know how many different listings? Because they're all individually hey, here's this one listing that he's missing 2 legs. Here's the Spinister, he's missing target master. This guy is just missing his right leg and his arms loose. Like there would be so many individual listings, and then it's like someone's trying to buy it, and then it's like, okay, now that's over. So I don't see how they could do that.
No, I totally agree what you're saying. I mean, I am 100% collector myself. If I get it, I want to have it. Grant, some stuff, you go to your G1 stuff and there's a $10 figure, but the headmaster for it might cost you $50. So I mean, you kind of put off on some of the things. Now, the point of the story, I guess, was that there are deals to be had. So if there's anyone watching that's there, they should definitely go by and check Pete out. You're welcome, Pete, by the way, on that one. But I mean, they seem, to be having good deals over there, and I find it ironic how people were getting upset how, how Fun Pub's set up, or not Fun Pub technically, because they didn't rent the table themselves. They're leasing out from a Mega Toy fan who got the tables for them. So it's all whatever how you want to see it. People are going to see it as Fun Pub is the devil, period, and TFcon is the angel, and they just they're just going to look at any way you look at, and I just thought I just think it was a pretty good a deal, because I had heard from inside sources, dealers I know who were there that would talk to Pete, was that he was going like half off of eBay prices. Well, I'm sorry, I don't know no $10 toys from the collectors club on eBay. So I mean, I think the $5 box is a good deal. I mean, like you said, there's no way they would get up from underneath all their merchandise. And the sad part is that half that stuff is probably sent back because there's probably the littlest, tiniest little paint flaw on it. And
that's true.
I mean, the littlest, and they just go ape shit crazy. Oh my God, I can't. This is I just can't have this in my collection. This is an eyesore, and something that's probably on the back side that you'll never see in a million years.
Or something so simple to get rid of it. All you got to do is take a Q-tip and a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and poof, it's gone.
So I mean, but also going to the other side of the topic, like there was I guess TFcon's known and looked up on as the third party, try to Transformer convention, to where you have all the third party companies. Got some friends there at the the con that are some of the third party companies that I talk with, that they're there and stuff. But it's a Transformer convention. It's not a third party convention. It's a Transformer convention. So if Pete wants to come there with Fun Pub and sell off Collectors Club stuff or Botcon stuff, and let's make a deal and make stuff, and sell it for cheap, then as we all have gone to many different cons, not just Botcon, but several different conventions, isn't kind of the better the dealer room, the more stuff to choose from, the better selection, kind of the better the con,
Yeah.
And better your experience in the dealer room. It also opens up competition. So I mean, like, third party stuff. Or I even saw people that were selling Takara stuff. I think you saw Chosen Prime, where they had a whole section in glass cases Takara stuff that they were selling. I mean, no one's throwing a fit about that.
Right.
So,
Just like Capture Prey. He has Hasbro, Takara. He has third party. He's even he has like 2 tables in the front of nothing but Botcon exclusives collections that he buys. So I mean, he has a wide variety, and no one says a word about him selling Botcon items. But heaven forbid, Fun Pub shows up, and
all hell breaks loose.
Exactly.
And because I think that there is, and again, I have no idea why, but I think in some of the I'm just gonna say third party elitists, people that are just like they love their third party stuff, and like screw you Hasbro, Takara, you guys can't do it right. It's all about the third party. So those that group of people, I think that to them they think like, no, this is the third party convention, and it's kind of like a little bit of a versus thing, like they're in competition with Botcon. But guess what? Botcon is over. It doesn't exist anymore. So there is no competition for you at this point. Your new competition is Hascon, which is going to do the exact same thing. It's going to be all Hasbro. It's not going to have any third party, which the whole thing with Botcon and people always getting upset about no third party at Botcon, they had third party all up until 2014 to where it was allowed. Like, it wasn't like, hey, on Sunday you can break out with the stuff and you be secret with it and sell it up in your room or anything like that. No, as soon as you walked in, the first booth on the doors when you walked in the dealer room was Toy Dojo, and they had towers, glass towers, of third-party stuff right in there, and no one gave a shit. And so you could go in there, you could buy it. Hell, they even were selling Star Wars stuff. I think as long as you're, what is it?
75%
Transformers. That it's all good. No one was pissed off about them selling Star Wars stuff or SH figure art. So it was all good, but it was Hasbro.
Right.
They wanted to make, they've always showed up to these Botcons, but they wanted to make kind of a statement like, hey, this is our official convention. I mean, that's what we're putting on it.
Right.
Botcon, the official Transformer convention, then it needs to all be official stuff. And so that was a call from Hasbro, which it doesn't matter how many times you relate it to people and you explain that to them. I've been doing it for 2 years now, and it's still, you're getting that reaction of like, this was Pete and a few Fun Pub people that made this decision. Where he's been on this show many times and explained that no, this is Hasbro.
He can say it a million times until he's blue in the face. People won't understand it anyway. And actually, I believe, if I remember correctly, I've been going since 10. I think they tried to enforce it in 2012 for the third party rule, and it went over. People went crazy over it, but I think it was building up because you look at after 12.
Dallas, right?
Dallas.
That's the first. That's the first one that I went to, and I do remember that to where, but they weren't strict on it at all. They just kind of mentioned it as kind of a deterrent, but they weren't enforcing it at all. If you were just kind of like, dude, I'm opening up shop anyway, and here this stuff is,
right?
They didn't even stop by your booth and say anything.
No, now
that actually may be one of the reasons why people kept on testing them,
now
in 2015 and 16.
15, I think, got really more hit hard on that. I think what the problem is that, not the problem, but I think what the deal was that Hasbro knew they were taking it away from Botcon or Fun Pub. So they want to get it out there, hey, look, we don't want this crap in our shows. Now we have a show called Hascon, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense of the name, in my opinion. But if they think that the pot was stirred with Fun Pub, you wait till you go to a Hascon convention. They will probably escort you out with the police. I really think If someone tries it, I think it is going to be a bigger pot stirrer with Hasbro themselves than Fun Publication, because Fun Publication was, as we know, very lenient, very, 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 very lenient, and they try not to enforce it, or they try not to be dicks about it. Even at JoeCon 2015, I was setting up as a dealer with a buddy of mine, and Pete came by, and he says, "Is this your booth?" I said, "Yes." He said, "That's got to come down." And it was a third party Superion, whatever that first wave was of the aerial bots.
TFC, yeah.
Okay, we had to take that off our booth. We had to take it out of the dealer room. It couldn't be even under the table. Pete said it has to leave the room.
I mean, that makes sense, because that these people would be like, "Hey, you have any third party stuff?"
Yeah.
We'll see, thing down Uranus, down here under the table.
It ended up getting sold before the weekend was over with. But the point being was that even at JoeCon, the national, G.I. Joe convention, you're telling them you can't have third-party Transformers because it's a Hasbro convention. So Hasbro was putting their foot down, I think, really building up towards this, because when they do their show next September, I want to go just to watch the fireworks, because I know someone's going to show up with some third party, and I want to see Mark Webber out there telling them, "No, you can't have this here. Either you take this down or you got to go."
And the thing is, they're not dicks, because Mark Webber is one of the
he is.
guys. He's so fun to talk to, and I mean, he'll sit there and talk to you for a long time until you're like, "All right, well, best be going," So
Even
just a
he's
really
the
cool guy.
Same way at JoeCon. JoeCon, I mean, I remember 15. I had just come out of the room and getting my exclusives and everything, and I was sitting there going through everything, make sure I had everything, and checking the figures. And Mark Webber, and I can't believe I don't remember the other guy's name, but he's the head of G.I. Joe on the toy side. And he just came over there, and he sat right beside me, and we just talked about it. He asked me what I thought of it and everything. And then after we talked for about 15 minutes, here came Brian Savage and gave him his badge. It showed him he was a Hasbro VIP. I didn't know who he was, and he didn't. I just thought how cool it was for him just to come by, sit, shoot the crap with somebody he'd never met. And we, he asked my ideas. What I thought of the set and everything. I said, of course, the first words out of my mouth was, "Well, Hasbro wasn't going to give it to us, so I guess FunPub did." And you might as well. He will take the truth, and he thinks nothing of twice about it.
Well, that was the best way to approach it. If you're trying to get some honest answers and try to better your brand and come out with stuff that people actually want, is to approach them without introducing who you are and with your badge. That way, the first thing out of your mouth was an honest, straight shot. So
it was, and I told him how. We want. As a Joe fan, a Joe collector, I'm like, we want more than what we're getting. We got 5 2-packs and 2 3-packs, and we won't see nothing again until next year. Probably this time next year, maybe August next year. But I take that back, June, but we'll get through FunPub stuff. But it's like Joe is a dying brand, I think, and Hasbro keeps it alive, and I told Pete that, and that's the honest to God's truth. I think G.I. Joe's only alive because of FunPub.
Well, you guys want to transition into Hascon, since we've kind of brought that up?
Do it.
Where do we start?
Well, one, is that what the focus group really came up with for the name? Like, you know what? I think that's the one right there, Hascon. But Rick, you look like you got you have something you're ready to tear off.
He's ready to blow his top over there.
This is a tough thing. Like I'll just start with the Botcon, and I'm not even talking about who puts the show on, but the official Transformers convention has been such a big part of my life since 2001. Other than family and friends, my next big love is the official Transformers convention. Easily the best convention, and there's certain reasons why. I mean, there's a big bullet point list, but one of the things early on at this last Botcon, when I talked to a few people who would have known what Hasbro had said initially, I heard that the new folks were saying they wanted a convention that would draw 100,000 people. This is something that was said in a meeting. At least this is what I was told. And I always think about Jurassic Park. We're so busy thinking about if we could, we didn't think if we should. And one of the things I like about Botcon is whether you call it a small family convention or not, it's a fairly small convention. The brand has definitely taken off because of the movies, and we've put a lot more money into that brand, being fans, over the years, and kept it going in the in-between non-movie years. But one of the things I think everybody likes about it is it's not a convention where you can walk around. I know people don't like lines, but we're 100,000 people versus like 2,500 people. That's a big difference. Even if they get 30,000 people, right? Still so different than 2,500, and being able to walk around and do those things and you be able to still see all of the friends, because you might have a few friends that you see, but there's a lot of other friends that you see too, annually at this convention. You want to be able to get through the dealer room and actually find some things that you want without being elbows to assholes with these people. I mean, and that's what the bigger conventions are like. So just starting from at Botcon, when I started to hear a little bit about what Hasbro was kind of doing behind the scenes, it just left a bad taste in my mouth. I'm open right now. I'm like the guy that doesn't have a home when it comes to conventions. If TFcon ends up being my new home, I'm completely open to that. Yeah. If Hascon ends up being my new home, I am open to that. I think what's going to happen is they're going to fall on their face. This is my opinion. They tried the hub, and we had grand plans for that. Sometimes new people come in and they don't breathe the air. They think they breathe the air, and they looked at the graphs and the charts and the numbers, and they think, well, this is what we could do. I think that this brand is a strong, other than Star Wars, look at Transformers and where Transformers is kind of has come to. And I'm not even talking about the movies. I'm just talking about the toys. We've kept the toys going. I mean, the lines right now are super strong. And I don't, Michael Bay has some to do with that. Those movies have a lot to do with it for the masses. When I go to toy stores, I don't see the masses buying toys. I don't see them buying the amount of toys that we buy. Some of us are buying Takara and official. Like, we're dumping a lot of money into these guys' pockets. And I think that they've said at the most recent Botcons that they're looking at those numbers, and they know now that we are a bigger percentage of the dollars that they're bringing in. They know that. They know it's not just the kids anymore. It used to be our voices mattered, but not so much. Our voices matter now. And I think we can turn this around. I don't think we're going to be looking at a annual Hascon 5 years from now. That's just my opinion. And if I'm wrong, that's fine. I'll eat my words. But I don't think it's going to last. I think the people in this fandom are so passionate, and there's so many of us. And I think we're in a time where people are listening to the voices. And I think if we can organize our voices and get along, if Hascon isn't what I think a lot of us are going to go and investigate it. I don't know if I'm going. I might go and try to see what it's like, experience it. But if we don't like it, I think a lot of people are going to voice their opinions.
I think one of the reasons why I don't think that they maybe even completely, feel 100% sure about this, because where they having it, basically Hasbro headquarters. And which yeah, I guess for the first one, but do we think that they're even going to make this rotate to where it's going, because that was one of the big things with Fun Pub is having to figure out, these dates, a hotel, coordinate with this and all these different places, and how to get there, and where's, the convention, the hotel, and all these different places, to where I doubt that they'd even do something like that. I think that if they do it, an annually thing, that it's probably going to be there more than likely every single year.
I don't see that happening because Brian had so many problems in getting it in, because he wanted it in 3 locations, rotated every year. And according to Brian now, he would say that Hasbro wanted it out in California permanently. I think that they're doing Rhode Island because it's their headquarters, home opener, basically is what it is. I could honestly see it going to California the second year. It would not surprise me.
My only problem with that is so we're talking about more than one brand. We're talking about all their brands. And if every brand, they have to ship out their ambassadors, their people, and they also have to ship their product, you're talking about so much money just to move everything to a location. Pretty much where right now they have a headquarters and all their product could kind of be set up there, especially like the exclusive and stuff like that.
They don't pay for plane tickets for all these people. They don't have to pay for hotels for all these people because they could just stay at their house and travel there in the morning, for the con. So all these employees, I mean, that right there alone, hotels and planes tickets for all these people is expensive. And do you buy their lunches too?
I'm sure they do.
They get it like a per diem, So I mean, just right there is you're already in the hole, and then not like you said, not to mention you're having to ship not just selling product and stuff like that, but you're also for all these different brands that they do, and because they're going to get into their board games and stuff, so
yeah,
all that's going to cost a whole lot of money, and then also their marketing stuff is going to cost a lot, and then they would even have to send people earlier to start doing self-marketing in those locations as well. So there's a lot to it.
Well, look at it this way. Rhode Island versus California. You're going to have more foot traffic in California than you are Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the reason why I would see.
Yeah.
That was some of the reasons why it stayed there. Botcon had a lot of foot traffic, in California.
Yep.
But like I said, this is either here or there. It might stay in Rhode Island every year until it blows up and fizzles out. I don't know. It might rotate. It might go to Florida. It might go to Texas. It might go to California. Hell, it might go to Wyoming. I don't know. There's no telling where it'll end up at. All we can really do is speculate what we think it might and hope it'll do something,
Now, the other thing with the Hascon is the exclusive. So you guys have probably read up a little bit more than I did. They're going to do a club, an exclusive. So they haven't really disclosed what exactly that means or what exactly those are going to be. So
they haven't said nothing. All I said is there's going to be a club. Period. That's it.
What do you expect them to do with that? What do you kind of think they would do? It to them is, let's say like for Combiner Wars, just swapping out a head, and instead of
if that, honestly,
on a figure that's pre-existing, be like, okay, and this is his name, this is his new name. I don't. Do you think they'll do any retooling? Because one of the things is FunPub, they put a lot of paint upgrades into their figures as well. So it wasn't just a head or something like that. They also did some retools. but there was tons of paint. Like you were like, okay, this is just by looking at it, not just because it's a different character that you didn't see it at retail, but you can look at it when you look at it on the shelf and be like, that one did not come from retail.
Oh yeah, easily.
Do we think that they're going to be doing that type of stuff? Because to me, that's the main selling point on those Botcon figures. And are they going to try to find some cool, unique, obscure type characters, or is it going to be like, hey, here's just a different version of Bumblebee and Optimus Prime and Starscream and Megatron, you know, like how they always do these the key characters all the time.
For me, what I would kind of expect is, you suggested this ages and ages ago, Josh, was if there was some sort of way that they could do, like, right, you have your regular stuff, of course, on the shelves and things like that, but then you've got, like, the premium version. Okay, people can say it's the Dakota for the premium, but it wouldn't hurt for, like, Hasbro to do something like that, to give us, like, right, okay, well, this is your regular... oh my god, help me out, I can't have a look. Oh, there it is. So, like, your Combiner Wars Thingamajog, we'll just call it that. So, here's Thingamajog, and you've got your regular retail version, and then here's a bang, you know, here's your really good version. It's got this, it's got that. It's got an exclusive Megatron G1 gun, and la la la, and all that jazz. Or they can go around the whole thing of basically what FunPub does. Like, right, okay, here's a repaint. You can do this, you can do that. It's got all these different bits and bobs of accessories, and you can just blow your mind and jump up and down kind of thing. So that's why, like, overall, I'm a happy guy. I'm easy. As long as it's not like, right, okay, rescue bots coming your way, and oh, don't forget you've got this. It's like,
And how will they do what JoeCon does, where it's like, hey, we understand that there's these 3 3/4 inch collectors, and we understand that there are you know, the 12-inch doll collectors, or I'm sorry, action figure. So you got these 2 different collectors. So if you're one and not the other, you don't just buy, like, the you know, the exclusives and then, like, hey, you're subjected to all these, and now you're going to sell off what you don't want. Here's this one and here's this one. So do you think, because it's Hascon, just HasbroCon or Hascon, do you think that they'll do, like, here's we'll just call them generations. We know what we're talking about, chunk stuff. Yeah. Here's this for us a little bit older, you know, collectors, and repaint them and stuff. And then maybe here's some RID, because I don't want to see, like, well, you get 4 chugs and 3 RIDs, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that totally.
Because there are some younger ones, and hey, you know what? There's some older collectors that, you know, collect RID stuff. I'm not one of them, but I think, you know, some of their stuff is kind of cool looking. But they need to be separate. You know, those are just little bitty snippets that we need to relay to them, as far as, you know, whenever they sell us, like, box sets and stuff like that, like, make separate, because you got to understand, you got different level ages of collectors here.
I think we'll get, I call it the cherry picking system. I mean, you get to pick what you want. I think, and I can see them making it a system where everything goes, you know, to the age group appropriate. You know, you're going to have your, let's say, your one-steppers, then you're going to have, like, your rescue bots, and then you're going to have, like, you know, us adult collectors. I think there's going to be a pick from each one, you know, and I can see that actually happening. I think the days of box sets are over with for Transformers.
Yeah.
I think that is completely over with. If we get anything at Hascon special, it might be like a San Diego theme kind of thing, where you get the retail version and then you get the Hascon version. I can totally see that.
I could see, like if they have their, whatever their big meeting is, you know, their to plan for the year, when they have that meeting, I could see them, if there's 24 figures, 3 of them would be planned out. So, you know, let's say you've got Inferno is in there, and then you've got maybe Hoist. Then you're looking at putting Trailbreaker and whatever the Hull or Grapple, they end up being your exclusives. I could see it being a big picture plan. The thing I'm worried about the most is the things that we become used to with some of the original fiction and original outside of the mainstream line stories, like Wings of Honor, or even the animated Beast Wars, Shattered Glass, all those, the Pirates and the Knights, all that stuff that I personally like doing. I like that little separate thing during the year where it's like, here's this subline. I don't know if we're ever going to see that again.
And that's what's sad, because like Pete told us, which it just blows my mind, that Hasbro officially owns everything Fun Pub has done over the years. They own Shattered Glass. They own Wings of Honor. They own the classic universe. And, and you're right. We might never, ever, ever get another story of Shattered Glass again. We might never, ever
see any original ideas. They may just stop doing original ideas.
Exactly. Which would be stupid on Hasbro's part, because I would totally buy another Shattered Glass box set, because I love Shattered Glass. Shattered Glass, I think, besides the pre-Beast Wars, was like the best thing ever.
Well, and if they don't attach a design, I'd be interested in, one of the questions I would ask them if they do some interviews prior to this is, are they going to attach a design team like a Lanny and a Pete, those people that work on that thing all year long? Are they going to attach them to this? Or again, is this out of the 24 figures, those two that we know that we're going to do, they're just in here. We don't have anybody attached to them. Don't worry about that. We're going to produce them. We were going to sell them at Walmart, but instead we're going to have them at Hascon. It just doesn't feel special to me. And some people will be okay with that, because they want that chug shelf. They don't want to miss out on that one figure that they haven't done, But and I get that.
And the reason I prefer, like you said, Pete and Lanny, and the reason I prefer them is because they actually had, they had put in more effort to making it come to life than Hasbro ever will. Hasbro's probably just going to back shelf it and now be it.
Yeah, if they attach a designer to this and say, this is what you're going to do during the year, this is what we want you to do. You're going to represent the Hascon, the Transformers brand, and this is what you're going to do. I'm okay. I don't care who it is. If I know them or not, it doesn't matter. As long as they're able to concentrate on that, make them special, and not just be like a straight up repaint.
Right. What do you think about having all the other brands there? I mean, we know that there's going to be bronies there, any way you look at it.
I'm interested to hear what they have to say. Actually, I wouldn't mind listening to a podcast this weekend that's brony specific, because I want to hear what their fandom has grown exponentially, even more than the Transformers brand has grown.
Right.
That brand is, so I definitely want to hear their point of view. I'd love to hear their point of view, because if we're all on the same page, that's even better. If everybody feels this way.
Well, here's what gets me is the bronies, their con, was it ran by Hasbro, or was it licensed out like Botcon and JoeCon? Was it? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't pay that much attention to My Little Pony. I didn't care.
Yeah, one of the guys at this last Botcon, he's there every year. I can't think of his name, Mike, but I've seen you talk to him too. Can't think of his name. He's really into it, and he goes every year. He was telling Erica and I the numbers. The numbers were absolutely crazy. They're not what you think. The numbers are just staggering. Like when we heard it, my mouth dropped.
That's James Hatley. That's who that is. He goes to BronyCon. He dresses up as a brony, and he's actually a furry. He goes to furry cons and dresses up as a furry as well. Cool guy. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would not want to be in a room full of furries and he be in one of them costumes, because you never know who they are. But I mean, right? He's always talked about the My Little Pony Con, and
yeah.
But like I said, I mean, they seem to have like a big following. Damn,
they do.
The other two brands that interest me, Joe, you know, there's going to be a Joe con, so GI Joe. You know, I don't know. Maybe they still have it there. Who knows? But Visionaries and Mask.
Yeah.
They talk. You know, they're wanting to bring these back and do, you know, games, plush, toys, all this other stuff. As far as Hascon, you know what would really get me excited, because as far as Mask goes, you have to have vehicles, and we know that more and more toy lines are getting away from vehicles and bases and stuff like that. Even on collectors markets, it's hard to get vehicles and bases and stuff like that, to get them to make that. You know, so Mask, you have to have vehicles. That's the main the main you know, the main thing there. And then there's the little figure. Whether you go with the little 2-inch figures or maybe you go GI Joe size 3 3/4, it doesn't matter. It's still, those things would take up a lot of shelf space. I can't really see anyone, even at Toys R Us, being like, yeah, let me just give you guys like 8 feet worth of wall here, so you can bring back this toy line that was okay selling back in the 80s, but no one's ever heard of it since then. I just don't see them doing something like that. You know, like, what are you going to give up? Ninja Turtles or Star Wars or Transformer Section's small? So I just don't see them giving up that much. So if they wanted to do like, hey, this is what we're doing at Collectors Club, because we talked about this a long time ago, like, how do you introduce Mask? Because of all the vehicles, you could, every single one, you're coming out with vehicles, and I brought up the best way to do it would be a Collectors Club. Let's say you come out, let's say with 6 vehicles with figures and stuff every year, 6 or 7. And so you come out with one big one like the Rhino, and then you come out with like, you know, like maybe 3 medium-sized ones, and then like 2 or 3 small ones. You know what I'm saying? So, and I thought that something like that would be, you know, a good way to do it. So if it's Collectors Club like that, then, you know, I'll buy a subscription to that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
I mean, because you see the point with the retails, like, how are you going to sell this Mask stuff? Because what retailer is going to take it?
Yeah.
I find it funny how you mentioned how, like, your stores would say how much space, you know, at JoeCon, when Hasbro was in their panel and they were talking about this year's offerings, the first thing they told us was that there would be no vehicle sets because Toys R Us did not want any more vehicle sets because, 1, it took up too much space, and 2, they had to clearance them out because they just were not selling. And you're right, vehicles take up a lot of space. I have one showcase. I have, at the bottom of it has three jets and 1 rattler in it, and that's it. In the bottom of it, the bottom shelf. That's all I have room for. I have no room for nothing else. Those take so much space. It's unreal. I mean, I want to display so much of them, but there's just no space at all for it at all. And, you know, and I find it funny that Hasbro wants to bring Mask back, and this is actually their perfect opportunity to say, okay, we're going to bring in all our current properties, but now we're going to throw out this old property and this old property out there while y'all are here, and try to not force it on them, but re-educate people on that old product.
Well, I mean, there's a certain way they could do it with the marketing and stuff like that, and show, you know, how do you catch people? You show that Mask opening with that music going, you know, get people pumped. But again, you know, with the vehicles, let's say they do come out with that, because I would love Mask. I'm sure you guys would like Mask as well. They come out with it, a Collectors Club thing. But then you got to think about the collector and room, you know, because it's one thing to buy a subscription to He-Man, and then like once maybe a year, they come out with a Wind Raider or a Battle Ram or something like that. You know, to where that's not going to take up a bunch. But you're talking about tons of vehicles. I mean, like the Batmobile right there. That thing has to have its own shelf. Castle Grayskull, the 2 TIE fighters, that takes up a ton of real estate. So you're talking about now getting multiple vehicles. That's going to take up a lot of shelf space. I mean, like one wall with just shelves on top of shelves on top of shelf going across. That would have to be dedicated to all masks. You know, like once you start getting like, hey, now we've completed the line type thing. So how many people would even go down to where like, hey, you know, we want them all, you know?
I still think it depends on the fiction too. The fiction has to be strong. I look at something like Nicktoons, and as far as like shelf space and how much plastic is on said shelf, look how many vehicles Playmates puts out. They have a ton of stuff like motorcycles and the play sets. They're doing that stuff. They're light on paint and things like that. But other than Playmates, that's like the only example that I can think of currently that's putting out a lot of plastic on shelf. Otherwise, you're looking at the Collectors Club, and I think the Collectors Club is the way to go. I do think that they're going to rely on their cinematic universe thing. I mean, they're doing all this for a reason. There are big plans. No matter what, we're gonna get a Mask movie. We're gonna get it. We're gonna see it. Is it going to be good? I don't know, but it needs fiction. I don't know if even the Collectors Club would be enough alone on its own. Just the announcement and like you say, maybe 4 or 5 figures and vehicles to start out with. Maybe some small ones and some big ones. That year-long subscription. I still think you might need some fiction. And I know we got the Revolution comics and that stuff kind of happening right now. But I think you got to have fiction along with a Collectors Club kind of going in tandem.
And you know, the other brand, Visionaries. I mean, you could do a 1-year subscription of those, and you could knock out the entire Visionaries line. So. Unless they're talking about, well, I mean, there was obviously a lot more characters and stuff like that they never even made to toy form. And that cartoon was cut short too. What was it, 3 or 4 episodes or 6?
Yeah,
between there. It's no more than 6. But.
What was did Hasbro do? What are they called? Centurions? Is that what it was called?
Centurions.
Was that Hasbro?
I don't know.
Didn't think so.
Well, I mean, I remember as a child having that. I mean, that would be something awesome to come back in today's age. But I mean, that's just me, I guess. I always thought those things were pretty cool.
On the Visionaries end, every time someone brings the Visionaries up, you know, I know the big gimmick was the holograms, and they all had like the staffs and stuff like that that had the holograms on it. I think now we're in an age where, like, if you look at like what other brands have done, like whether and they love to do this with the kids and stuff, like whether it's something with that Visionary, that hologram is now somehow on the cell phone, or something that hooks into one of your game systems. I don't know what it is, but something that takes whatever the power of the bear is, and then you look at your cell phone, it kind of animates and comes alive and things. There's something about the Visionaries that I think if you sat down with that brand and said, how could this work with today's market? So it's not just a redo, you know, like Matty Collector does with He-Man. It's not just like a redo, but we've taken it and we can make it work for the masses too. We can still hit the collector and get what they want, but we can also work with those things. If I were them, I'd be looking at those things because, again, it's a numbers game for them, and those are the things that they would need to keep it rolling.
Centurions, that was Kenner, which Hasbro's bought just about all the Kenner stuff. So, I mean, that would be something that Hasbro could activate, or maybe they hadn't bought that one yet, but that's probably something they could do. So. Anyone have anything else to add? We've almost gone an hour and a half.
Besides me and Rick, I know I personally would think about it. I know Rick is closer than I am, but would any of y'all considering going to Hascon's first show, since we know an actual date and location now.
I want to see what else kind of gets said about it. If we get some more information, then happy days. My main thing is I really want to go to Dallas. I really want to go to Hascon, and from what I've got from work, I've got no days off where I can book off, and I'm not going to go all the way to America because obviously I live in the UK, so that's a big old pond jump to go for just basically a Saturday and Sunday, and then I'd have to fly back early Sunday because it's super long flight. So if again, from what we've basically just recapped what we've talked about is, as long as the exclusives are good, and for me, it's like it's not so much like the big thing. Dealer room, yes, awesome. Panels, yes, okay, fine. My main concern is that I don't want, like, say for example, if there's 10 panels roughly throughout the entire schedule. You know, when we add on our Botcon badges, like right, day 1 you add all this, day 2 you add all this. I know we're gonna have to share, but how much are we sharing? Are we only getting like 1 or 2 transformer panels like per day? If we are, who's going to be there? And on top of that, it's like I don't want to be. I loved my parts parties. It's like I never even knew of this concept until like Dalton was like, "Come here, come here." I was like, "What?" And it's like, "Oh, let's go follow like Josh and things to the parts parties." It's like, what creepy thing you taking me to this person's room with parts parties? What kind of parts parties? I walked in there and then who was it? Oh, I can't think of.
I think it was Jim's room.
That's it. I was thinking it's like he had one leg. Like Jim was
Yes,
there, Mike was in there. Yeah. That's just like
one leg. Oh, that's Jim.
Well,
That's Drew.
I saw. I just walked in. I looked down. There's a guy with a missing leg. I was like, "This is a strange party."
Yeah.
Anyway. That was honestly like my first thought. And walked in. I missed that, and it was I had so many good deals, but it was just. Is the whole thing is just interacting with the whole environment around you. Can we do that with like the bronies and things like that? They might like Transformers as well. And
well, you have Fan Expo Dallas that Dakota and I went to last year. We only got to go on just Saturday, so this time I plan on getting a hotel, and whoever wants to join me and staying like the entire time, even getting a day early, so it could, because like let's say like Rick or Chris, Dalton, Mike, like going, I think it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Like, hey, we're gonna get there to where, hey, we'll get it early Thursday because hey, I know all the restaurants, I know all the places like that. You want to go to the place, the 6th floor, you know what I'm talking about? JFK got assassinated, history there. There's the West End, the Dallas World, the Dallas Aquarium is awesome. You need to go to Cowboys Stadium, take that tour, because that's one of the grandest stadiums that you've ever seen. There's a Six Flags down the road. I mean, it's Arlington, so it's right there, and the Ranger Stadium. I mean, so there's a lot to go and do and see that. You wouldn't want to just come to be like, okay, I'm here and now it's just convention, and then all right, later, guys. That I would actually be coming to a city where I know everything. But anyways, I think there was like 50,000 to 60,000 people there last year, or this year. So there's a lot of people, but it's a huge convention area. It's like San Diego Comic-Con, but a huge convention area to where you aren't elbows to asshole in there. Yeah. But as far as to address what you're talking about, Chris, like, are you only going to get a couple of Transformer panels? Hascon, it seems like what they're talking, they want it to be 100,000 people. Let's see, even if it's half that, 50,000, 60,000 that Dallas Fan Expo was. They can't fit all the stuff on your badge. In fact, they couldn't fit all the stuff for just one day, because the thing is at 10 a.m., there isn't just Transformers and then 11, hey, it's My Little Pony. At 10 a.m., there are 4 or 5, 8 panels going on at that time. And you got to pick which ones you want to go to. At 11, then there's these ones going on and so on. So, and they're overlapping. So you're trying to figure everything out from that point. But then like these people, like, hey, these 2 people that I wanted to go see at 10 on Friday, you know, I'm going to go see this one because then I can actually go see this guy again at this time tomorrow. Or maybe they have morning and midday and afternoon panels. So they do it like 3 times or whatever. So that's how that works at these big conventions, and I gotta imagine that's how they would do theirs as well. So it's a little bit different from Botcon. There's a lot of overlapping, so you got to really figure out your schedule.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I see. At this point, I'm saying Dallas Fan Expo because, like you said, there's a lot more stuff to do just in Dallas with the history and just regular tourist attractions separate from the convention. Just hang out and, you know, shoot the shit, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, because it's my town, baby. Or what did David Ortiz say after the Boston Marathon? This is my fucking city.
Yep. He sure didn't hesitate on that one either.
Dude, I thought that was hilarious. What did he just say? But anyways, anything else to wrap this up? No, I mean we could always jump in it more. Obviously, when again, whenever we figure out more details.
Yeah. One of the only other things I didn't tweet it, but I'm somebody that looks at like logos and marketing stuff all week. As soon as I saw the Hascon, that brand, just we heard about what it might be, then we got to see the logo, and it just feels like it's more of a. I have a family, and I have a little boy. It felt like it's more for him than it did for me. Just the logo itself, it looks like Discovery Zone and Sesame Street meets My Little Pony and Snake Eyes and Optimus. I don't know. It just, for whatever reason, it just doesn't. I didn't think it would be that. Even in my head, it was at least kind of like an even keel, reach everyone. But that really screamed to me that it's a younger audience and the basic foundation audience, and not like a big super fandom of whether it's bronies or Transformers fans.
I read family in their thing too many times. For my liking, to where I made my assumptions right then and there. I was like, I don't think this one's going to be catered to mainly to collectors with also a hint of family. I think it's going to be catered to mainly family and the kids with a hint of collector. And you know what? That's not the convention for me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, an image it's like 1,000 words or whatever. I got that feeling from just looking at it. And they have a lot of board game history and things like that too. And they definitely mention that in there. You can see that in the logo as well. It's very playful. And it is toys. So, All
right, guys, we're going to end it there. We're going to go ahead and sign out. First off, a couple of announcements. Cybercast, the beginning of it's missing, so I apologize about that. We had some tech issues at the very beginning, so we wanted to make sure that we corrected it so that you can see everything without it buffering. So that is in video form. You can go watch that. We mainly cover all the TFcon 2016 Chicago stuff, along with a few other things as well that were announced this week. That show and this show are not going to happen next week. We only do every other week. So the following Saturday, we'll be back with Cybercast at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time and Galactic Gumbo at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Go ahead and sign out. Chris, tell people where they can find you, man.
You can find me at Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, all at Barrett Prime.
All right. Dalton?
You can pretty much find me everywhere at Daltonian TFs, and I didn't get to at the very beginning because I wasn't here. Halls, I got Dakota, Wheelie, Weirdwolf, and Fort Max.
All right. Yeah, I was gonna ask you after, but good job. Mike?
Find me on Twitter as a Botcon fan 1978.
All right, and Rick?
And you can find me on Twitter as Shatrdglassjazz.
right, you can find me everywhere, G1Xtron, or my Facebook page is the G1Xtron. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll talk to you later. Peace.
Okay.